welcome back to Giggle and Grow, everyone. As you can see, we have a special guest, Jazzy P, today. She's a beautiful, lovely, independent artist. Jazzy P is a musician, creator, fashion designer, all of the fun things. We do not have Morgan on today. Unfortunately, she was not able to hop on, but I think we'll still have a good time. To kick this off, Jazzy, I want to hear what got you into your love of music.
Okay, fun. Hi everybody. My name is Jazzy P. So happy to be here. Hello, Courtney and Morgan. I know you'll see this later. I started my music journey when I was young, obviously. I always was a musician and creator, just making art. I used to make clothes out of like bingo cards for my mom and stuff. And it was so fun. But music wise, I actually was auditioning when I was in like fourth grade. I was auditioning to be in the musical for my school.
What musical?
And I don't remember. To be honest, I don't remember at all. But I was auditioning to be in this musical, and they were like, you need to go to show choir. You need to go audition for show choir right now. So I did eventually go audition for show choir. I sang throughout all of high school. College is when I started writing music. Yeah. And then I started I truly fell in love with the idea of writing my own original music after I ruptured my vocal cords in 2019.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I ruptured my vocal cords and I was like, oh my God, the thing that I miss most is singing.
Yeah.
And I was always singing other people's songs. So for a year I had no voice. I had to go to vocal therapy. I walked around with a little whiteboard. My friends made fun of me. It was really crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. And then right after that, I wrote my first.
Okay, so you wrote your first song after that, and that's probably what it sounds like. That's what sparked that creativity and passion for songwriting. So yeah. Wait, dial it back. What did you do to blow your vocal cords out?
It's such a Jazzy P moment. I was at a Little John concert my freshman year of college, which is crazy because Morgan and that friend group was there too. And we did not know each other at all. We met years later and we were at the same place in Panama City Beach. And I was like, yeah, I ruptured my vocal cords there. So wow, just screaming. Yeah.
Just screaming, loving it. I love that. That's such a fun story though, because it makes you realize everything happens for a reason, right? You rupture your vocal cords and then you start writing music. So yeah, that's incredible. I love that. Funny story. You were saying that you made bingo cards when you were little and that's how you made stuff. So fashion is also something you're into. For your mom, me and my mother, when I was younger, we used to always make my costumes from scratch. So one of the things I fell in love with a little bit was kind of, I wouldn't say clothes designing, but I admire people who design their own clothes and come up with their own concepts. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about the fashion side of you and what got you, what are you doing as far as fashion goes? I know you have some shows, but I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about what those look like.
Yeah. So I used to host fashion shows. That's when I first moved to Denver. That kind of got me into the scene. I was working for a studio. I was a studio manager for Rich Recording. And some designers came into the store one day when we were having a little pop-up and they were like, do you want to model? And I was like, I've never modeled before. I am a little bit awkward. I'll try. Let's see what happens.
You're like, I'm the boss of the models. Sorry.
Yeah, literally. I was like, I don't know. But at this point, I didn't even know I was the boss of the models.
Okay.
So then I went to do the fashion show. It was okay. At this point, I had known music scene. I had known concerts because I was hosting open mic in Iowa City for a few years. I knew how to coordinate. And then I was a part of this fashion show and I was like, you know what? I can do this way better.
Yeah.
The designer that
no shade
was a part of it, no shade. Right. I just thought that I could produce something like that much better.
Right.
And just a little more organized. And so I started doing that, started hosting fashion shows first year of me living here after breaking up with an ex and not being creative at all.
Yeah.
And so it was so fun for me to jump back into my creative world. And then I just kind of started painting on clothes. And I've always been someone that if I don't have something to wear, I'll just make something for myself. If I'm bored with my closet, I'll take clothes and just make them something different.
No, that's so much fun. I love that about you. And I watch a lot of your videos and how you are always creating and just your style today. You're just so creative and cute. I love it. It's just so fun. I feel like for me, when I have gotten into like corporate fashion a little bit as I've gotten a little older, but I still to this day am just in awe about people who can take things and create them and make them their own. And I feel like it takes a very creative, unique person. And so you said you paint some of your own clothes. Do you have any specific pieces that you're, really proud of that you can think of off the top of your head?
Yeah, I made my roommate this pair of tiger pants. She loves tigers. And so there was a point in time, I don't remember why I made them, but I was just like, I made you some pants, by the way. And so I sat outside of my house in Arizona with my parents, and I wrote a song called Scars on my next EP, by the way. It started my whole EP. And then
where can people find it?
So. On Spotify, Apple Music, all of the links. My Instagram will have more previews of everything. But so I wrote that song Scars, and I also made her pants at the same time, and they were a pair of tiger pants. And then I also have this jacket that I made that I'm really proud of. And that one's just called, it always changes. Sometimes it's called Mind Over Matter. Sometimes it's called Loving Me. It's a whole bunch of different things. But you can find some of my fashion designs on Instagram at Zenum. 3 Z's. Yeah, 3 Z's and then spelt like denim. So Zenum.
I love it. No, I was going to say, I think I've actually seen those tiger pants that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they're super fun. I think, again, when it comes to creativity and just being like an artist in general, there's so many different ways you can have outlets. And I think it sounds like for you, a big outlet is just whatever comes to you. You're like, I got to do it. It doesn't matter what it is. It's not the same thing every single time. And maybe like sometimes it's different. Sometimes it's songwriting. Sometimes it's painting. So I love that about you.
Yeah, lately it's been songwriting. So it's really exciting. But actually, a lot of that was inspired by The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. So I highly recommend people read that book.
Okay.
I don't actually like. Let me just reel it in a little bit. I don't necessarily read it. I listen to it on Spotify. If you have Spotify Premium, you have it for free.
Yes, that is so true. I've been hearing one of my friends actually this weekend, she suggested, I was like, I really want to start reading more self-help books. And she suggested, she was like, don't read them, just listen to them on Spotify. And then you can read a more fun, I like study books, but a little bit more fun book, and you can listen to self-help. So I completely agree. Exactly. That is the way to go, is self-help books, like listening to them. So do you listen to them like on walks or on your way?
Honestly, I walk home from work every day. Okay. I have like a 40-minute walk every day. So usually I love it. It's like, it keeps my mental state calm. I have those 40 minutes to myself every day, which I love. But
that's so good. We talk about wellness walks here all the time. I try to implement them at my job as well. They're just so good for you, just walking every day and getting outside. Can you even do it in the cold?
Yeah, I do it anyways.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes I'm cold. If I'm cold, to be honest, I look like a crazy person, because if I'm really cold and I'm walking home, I'm singing the whole time.
Oh,
I'm just distracting myself like a little songbird walking down the street, which I would love some like animation for that. So if any of the Giggle and Grow followers are animation artists.
Oh, anime artists. That's so good. If you're an artist, comment, leave us a comment. We need you.
Call me. I need you.
No, that's great. I think that's so funny, because I'm my neighborhood. I'll walk around and kind of sing sometimes too, because I'm a secret. I say I'm a karaoke singer. I love to sing, but only on karaoke nights and my own songs. Not many people hear it. I don't like to do it in front of people, but
love. You're still expressing yourself.
Yes, it's a way to express yourself. So you sound like, you said you're from. Did you say your parents are from Arizona or Arkansas?
Oh, yeah. So my family moved to Arizona, but I'm from Iowa.
Okay.
They actually just moved back to Iowa too.
Oh, wow. So your family is back and forth. So what made you, and we don't have to go into it too much.
That's okay.
But you moved to Denver. What made you want to make that jump? What made you decide that?
Just like many people in Denver that I have met personally, I moved here with an ex-boyfriend. Originally, I was like, I've always loved Denver since I was a kid. But I kind of was more along the lines of like Colorado Springs, Breckenridge. Like when I was moving to Colorado, and like my dream was to always move to Colorado, I always had Breckenridge or like a small mountain town in mind.
Yes.
So Denver was kind of a big like wake up call for me.
Yeah.
Also Meow Wolf is here, so I can't give it all to my ex-boyfriend, but
Yeah.
most
But
of it was for love.
I always say sometimes when you go through transitions, you have to shed like personalities or people that, to figure out who you are and who you like want to be. And it sounds, honestly, you are just, to me, the pinnacle of a Denver woman. Like you
Thank
just
you.
represent such a fun artist, hippie vibe that I just couldn't see you anywhere else. It's so funny that you say, I was soon to be, or I was going to be in Breckenridge or a mountain town, because you just give to me just such city girl, Denver vibes, but in such a good way.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. I imagine myself living there now and I would be so bored.
Yeah.
I would be so bored. I would be going crazy. I don't even like I don't snowboard anymore because I broke my foot a couple years ago. So like
and you're like done. And that's crazy.
yeah, I'm like
so you live in the city. It sounds like you sing when you walk home. You do all these fun things. So like so how does the city influence your music? Do you feel like?
Ooh, I love that question. I think the city influences my music in lots of ways. Honestly, I've found myself in this community, in this Denver music community, and like a lot of people are super supportive in it. And I think something that I've seen circling around quite a bit lately is that like everybody can win. And I just think that's so important. And I think that energy is like very contagious.
I agree.
So when everybody is winning and the city is kind of like coming together to go to each other's shows and do all of that, it makes it easier to share these vulnerable creations that we all make, So like writing music is not something, it's not for the faint-hearted, because
no,
people will judge no matter what. They'll hear one note, two notes, first couple of words, and they're going to be like, oh, I either like the song or I don't. That's fine. Art is up for interpretation. But I think having a music scene that is pretty supportive of each other has made a big impact on me, and like has been a big reason why I started Her Sound and everything like that, or kept Her Sound going.
No, that's beautiful. And I think a big part of what I'm hearing from you, and I hear from a lot of artists just in general, is the community matters, right? Having a community of people, because when you are an artist, it's such a tough field to be in, that you need people who are also experiencing some of the same things you are, that you can lean on and talk to. So if you were to give an independent artist out there who might be struggling some advice, what would be your advice to them?
I would say just try every day to just do better than yesterday. Literally. I think that's just what is getting me through currently. And I think that's something that I wish I could have heard from somebody in my position now when I was there. Like just keep trying something new every single day, whether it's something new or just you're failing at something over and over again. Don't stop trying that thing. Don't give up on it just because it's hard or different. Like this ukulele right here is the hardest thing I've ever learned how to play, but I still try every single day.
I love that.
Every single day ish. But like, yeah. But I think as long as you're just always trying to like improve yourself and also be open to learning, just be a sponge. Like take up as much as you can from everybody around you. Know what to keep, know what to get rid of by your core values and everything. But I would say that's what I would say to somebody.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always trying. So I would say this, you go through this period of time in your life where you feel comfortable and you don't want to do anything different. You want to stay almost what I would quote unquote call stagnant.
Right.
And I think what an artist truly is, or those what you're saying, it sounds like, is you can't be stagnant as an artist. You constantly have to push yourself in these uncomfortable situations. You have to grow. And one of the things that I found personally, I'm actually trying to learn Italian for my honeymoon.
Oh, I love that.
And I found that it actually brings some deeper type of joy in life. And because I'm learning something new, right? It's something about learning something new. It makes you kind of enjoy other things more. And it allows you to, my job, I'm not like 100% all the time. Oh, I love my job, but I can have something to look forward to when I go home. Right. And I think I can grow my skills in my job a little bit more now that I'm learning something else. Like, it's like I'm pushing my brain on one side. So I'm just naturally doing better in my career overall because I'm pushing myself outside of this comfort zone is what I would call it.
Yeah, totally. I think it's so important to just like also just try everything. If you would have just said like, oh, Spanish, like I know Spanish is a much more common language and never tried Italian, then you might not have some of those joy points that you're having right now, you know?
Agree.
So I would say, yeah, that too. Just like try everything.
Right.
Try everything. There's a reason I'm a creator of all things, of all many things, because I just like try things and see what happens.
Yeah, you're an artist. I mean, that's truly what an artist is. Artists are just kind of, in my opinion, just I always think like your brain is just exploding with ideas and
all the time.
Popcorn kernels going off all the time. And it's just so beautiful though. But with that being said, so how do you balance kind of your creativity with your business side? Because I know you have two sides of yourself. I'm curious how you balance those sides.
Honestly, this is going to sound terrible and this could be so wrong. And I may look back on this podcast in a few years and be like, you knew better. I try to bring as much creativity into my business.
I love
So like the balance of it all, I try to keep the stress of the business stuff, I think only comes when I start telling myself this idea is too big, or only comes when I'm like, how can I like ask too many questions? I don't just start doing it.
Right.
So I would say maybe my balance is just doing things. And I'm sure that there are some people that have been a part of some productions of mine and they were like, this didn't feel very organized. And I mean, I've learned a lot over 3-4 years of owning my business at this point. So like, obviously I've gotten better at that, but I would say that's how I balance things. I kind of just start doing them. If I have an idea, I just act on it.
I love that.
And then I just know the universe has got me. I know God's got me. Like,
yeah. And you put your whole heart into it is what it sounds like. And that is your business side, is you just being wholeheartedly, oh, I love this idea. I want to do a fashion show and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it well. I'm going to do it to my best of my abilities. And like you said, not everybody's perfect. And I think a lot of our listeners come to us because they're not perfect. And we can bring some authenticity and say like, you're not the only one who's not perfect and sometimes feels unorganized. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people go through that where they have either one side where they're so organized, they can't get creative. They can't get outside their comfort zone, or they're so creative. And sometimes they struggle with like balancing that organization. But in the end, it's just, I think who you are and how you deal with those situations is what makes you, right?
Yeah, totally. Just stay present, you know? I think that's the biggest thing. Stay present. Don't get stuck too much on what mistakes you've made in the past. I don't think you should get stuck on what could go wrong in the future. Stay present, put some action to it. And that's how I balance my creativity and my business.
I love that. Okay, I have a fun little question for you.
Okay.
So if you were the soundtrack to any movie, what kind of movie would it be?
A rom-com.
I kind of knew that. I love that.
Definitely a rom-com. I love love.
I love love too. So what's your favorite rom-com with that being said?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I can't lie. I love 50 First Dates.
Oh, that's such a good one.
It's just such a classic. She starts singing again because she's seeing this man and they try and figure out why she's singing, and she's all painting and singing and creative. Yes. And I'm like, okay, Adam, get it, Adam Sandler.
I love that. That's so fun. That's a great one, though. That's just probably up there among one of my top 5. I think my favorite is Four Christmases, but
that's such a good one too.
That's such a good one. I don't know why I love
such a good one.
I come from a divorced family. That's probably what it is, and I love that they go to all these different Christmases. So that's one of my favorites.
Right. I also love La La Land. It's not as much of a rom-com, I would say, but love that movie. It's just
never
so authentic.
I've heard so much about it. I need to go watch it now.
Movie. Oh my god. I love that. It makes me want to fall in love, but I refuse to do that too lately.
Well, that's okay. Love will find you when you're ready, right?
Yeah. Well, and I just I'm a busy girl.
You're a busy girl. You've got a lot going on. With that being said, you might be going to Italy and Croatia, maybe.
Yes.
So what inspired this trip, or what's going on with this trip?
So I got my passport this last year, at the end of last year. I have been telling myself for so long I'm going to go get my passport. I've taken photos a few times, but for some reason I just never had. I like literally have in one of my journals, because I write a lot. I write a lot to myself. Like I've been writing since I was like 17 to myself.
That's the creative side of you.
Yeah. And I even put like old pictures from my passport that I was supposed to get the first time. I put them into my journal and I was like, this version of me just wasn't ready. Like she just wasn't ready to travel outside of the country. And that's why you waited a year to do it. But I basically got my passport and I was like, I'm going on a trip this year. I've always wanted to go to Italy. I'm in love with the idea of Rome. I watched this TV show called Another Self, and my roommate and I mostly watch TV in other language. I don't like to just sit and watch TV because
you like to learn.
Yeah, I like to learn. And like, if I'm going to be relaxing, like I also want to be like my brain stimulated somehow. Otherwise I get bored. I was watching this show called Another Self, and it's about this family constellation therapy. And it's all about your old, like, ancestors, how your ancestors have been traumatized and how that affects your current self. So it's about like generations and generations and generations. And the way that they sense it, they pick it up is like by replaying scenarios that may happen, and you just kind of like tap into to the universe, and then certain sides of your body will like react. And if it's your right side, then it's maternal, and if it's your left side, then it's maternal, maternal, whatever. I'm not an expert. But there is a retreat in September in the same place that was on the show. So my goal is to go out in September, but I did just have a meeting today about doing a festival in August. So we'll see if that happens. I would love for that to happen. It might just be my treat at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But if not this year, definitely next year.
Not this year, then definitely next year. Yes, I am going to Italy for my honeymoon. So I'm all about Italy, and I'll be going in June. I am so excited. I've actually never been to Europe. So it'll be a first time for me, but it'll be honestly such a culture shock, I think, for me. That's the biggest thing that will be interesting, I think, for me, because I've only ever been in America and I've never been outside of America. I think it'll be good for me though. I'm curious, if you do end up going, do you feel like it might spark some interest in writing? Have you ever traveled places and written about it? Or do you think when you write more, it comes from like a deeper place?
Well, I plan to do this trip completely solo. So like I plan to go for a month and then just like meet myself on a new level. And I think that's going to require a lot of writing, because I think it's going to be really hard. Honestly, I think I'm going to go through some life-changing stuff there when I do go. I think that's why I avoided getting my passport for so long. It's because like I know that I'm going to go face these demons that I have within me, and like and just open myself up to like being alone, in completely alone and in isolation in a way.
In a new culture and a new experience, all these things around you that you have to learn how to manage and navigate. But I think in the end, it'll be so good for you.
And I do too.
It'll show you who you are, right?
Yeah.
It'll force you to come out.
Exactly. Yeah. And I can meet myself then, because I feel like when I'm in the hustle bustle, it's so easy for me to just get like lost, you know? So
I agree.
I'm excited.
It's easy for a lot of people to get lost in life. And I sometimes, even though it sounds like I always say, like, sometimes it might sound like people have it all figured out, but I think sometimes I compare myself so much that it's the root of taking away my happiness. That's one of the things I'm working on, is like, don't compare yourself to where you are, because you started rowing your boat a different time somebody started rowing their boat, right?
Right.
But just some closing thoughts, Jazzy. I know you mentioned it, but tell our listeners where they can find you on Instagram, Spotify, if you don't mind just re-saying where they can find you. Yeah.
You guys can find me on Spotify at Jazzy P with the little period at the end. It works best if you look up the song Magic. Spotify, Apple Music, all of that. And then on Instagram, my Instagram is Jazzy P, and the handle is J4ZZYP. Just a little 4 for the A moment. You know what I'm saying? A little angel number. And then clothing brand is Zenim, and I run shows called Her Sound. Come check it out. It's for all women. It's Her Sound Denver. That's a really cool project that I've been working on, and I love supporting the ladies in my community. So check me out.
We love. Well, thank you so much, Jazzy, for coming on today and sharing your story. We appreciate it. And tune in for the next episode, you guys. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye.
Subscribe, like, share, all the things.